Hi guys, Bomber here. Welcome back to the channel, and here is the best two decks, budget decks, for Monuments of Power expansion. So starting off, we have got Poro Budget, which is basically a Poro deck, and really the Poro synergy isn't really that expensive anyway. The deck is built around the very cheap cards in terms of gems. All the Poros, the Daring Poro, Lonely Poro, the new Patched Porobot is actually a rare. But yeah, all the Poros really have these things in common of being very cheap in terms of shard cost. Probably the only a bit more expensive one is Aurora Borealis, and if you want to go into Brom, which also has a bit of Poro synergy, but other than that you are really not sacrificing a lot just to be a budget deck. Really the Poro synergy is already budget, so this is probably the best, most competitive deck for a budget deck. And after, yeah, I said that quite a lot. But anyway, this deck is very strong because mainly the Poro snacks. If you think about it, a +1/+1 to basically your old deck, if you're running a Poro deck, is quite strong at burst speed. So this can also act like a combat trick, which most of the times you are going to do. And even if you don't, a good player will know that you could have the Poro Snack in hand, and so they kind of have to take the risk and commit to you taking a value trade, for example, if you have the Poro Snacks, or even if you don't have it, so by actually you doing nothing, your opponent will kind of have to get additional damage in just because he doesn't want to risk you having a Poro Snacks, or maybe when you have played already one Poro Snacks, and probably they try to Mystic Shot one of your Poros, then they're kind of thinking twice about doing that, because they know that you could do a Poros next at burst speed, and basically getting that away from the removal range. So this is a very strong card, and it's basically all built around the Poros Nex and the Heart of the Fluff, which is an amazing finisher. And yeah, let's talk about this. Basically, combine all your Poros into one fluff of Poros. It gains their stats and keywords. So aside from the stats part, this thing is going to be huge, but more importantly is the keyword, and that's why we're running especially the Daring Poro, because the elusive keyword is probably the best, most premium keyword, basically getting you an unblockable attacker. And since this is also very huge, they really can't do much about it. They should be running an elusive deck on their own to block that, or they have to have a removal. And so that's where Patched Porobot could come in to help, because if the Patched Porobot actually gets the Spell Shield, which is also a very premium keyword, then play it right away. And probably if you are up against an aggro matchup, then of course play Patched Porobot on curve to actually stall them a little bit more. And also, by the way, the 2-mana 2/3 stat line is insane. It is probably the best stat line which can be in a card game, really, because you can trade with a 1-drop, but it can also trade with 2 drops, an even trade, but most importantly, it can block a 1-drop by getting a value trade, and then it can still trade with a 2-drop, which is very insane. I can't really say how much insane that is. Instead, a 3/2 stat line gets traded by a 1-drop with a 2/1 stat line, which is much more common. So yeah, the 2/3 is a very insane stat line. On top of that, he also has a chance to get very good keywords, like Tough, Lifesteal, Spell Shield, or Regeneration. Regeneration on these, and then you get that on Earth of the Fluff. That doesn't really matter, but getting a regeneration on a 2/3, which then can get bigger, it's really insane. This is a very strong buff to the Poro synergy. And then if you get Spell Shield, then play this right away and try to make it survive as well with the Spell Shield, because then this will grant the Spell Shield to the Earth of the Fluff. And this is probably the only one of the two ways in which they can not die from the Earth of the Fluff. One being blocking it with a lot of elusives, which is not very common in this meta, and the other one being them actually removing it. But with the Spell Shield, that is going to be much more difficult. Then we also are running a 3 beaming probulator. Nothing really that matters here, not a Poro synergy, of course, but since we're running a lot of 3 mana cards, as well as Aurora Borealis giving us more Poros Nex, which are a 3 cost card, then the 3 beaming probulator is a very strong card if you think about it. If you have that many, you don't really want to build your deck around the 3 beaming probulator, but if your deck is already built around the 3 beaming probulator, because these are all cards that we want to run, then 3 beaming probulator is probably a very good card in that deck. So yeah, that's why we went into that, but I get it that it is an epic, so you can remove it for, I don't know, maybe getting more copies of Get Excited, or even the Brittle Steel. The 1 mana card really works well because we are a very cheap deck, an aggro deck if you want. Then yeah, we're running a lot of very strong spells from both Piltover and Freljord, so Throw Chant, Mystic Shot, and Get Excited mainly. And yeah, so that's it for the deck. Very, very simple. You want to play... Also, yeah, we are running Call of the Wild. A new card also, not so new, but still new, which is a very, very good way. If you are very heavy on Poro Synergy, which we are, of course are, then this can, most of the times, even draw 3 cards, and even if it doesn't, just a 2 draw, which is, if you think about it, it's a better salvage. 3 mana, draw 2, it's very, very strong. So yeah, that's it for the deck, very, very simple, but still very effective. Then we move on into the budget control combo Starspring. This is a deck, of course, built around the Starspring, and is alternative win condition. Basically, with this deck, you just want to stall the game as much as possible, so for that reason we run Avalanche, AoE, and Icequake. The 2 best AoEs that we have in the game. We run Divergent Paths because this is also a kind of a combo deck, so you want to get more consistently your Starspring, your win condition. Then we are obviously running a lot of heal, so Star Shepherd really synergizes with that. But the most important part of this deck is that Starspring is going probably to have an hard time leveling up even by the heals alone. We do run in other decks stuff like Ember Maiden, which deals 1 damage to all of your stuff, so that then Starspring can heal them back. But if you think about it, even if you have a full board, which is very, very difficult, and if you have, you are already kind of winning, so there is no point in going in for the alternative win condition. But even in that best case scenario, we are still getting 6 health, 6 heal per turn, which is... if you think about it, you have to take 4 turns of that happening, and then you're winning the game off of Starspring. And this is the best case scenario that probably won't last for 4 turns. And if it lasts for 4 turns, then again, you're winning by just attacking most of the time, so you don't need additional pressure put by Starspring. So the best luck that you're going to find with Starspring is probably into regeneration. So that's why we run a Troll Ravager, which can get regeneration, Scar Maiden River, which naturally has regeneration, Augury of the Old Ones, which has regeneration, but can grant overwhelm and regeneration, more importantly, to another unit. You probably want to get that overwhelm and regeneration on Fused Firebrand, so this will become like a Fury, Spell, Shield, Regeneration, Overwhelm unit, which is insane, 4 keywords on the same card, and all which are very, very desirable. So that's why we run Fused Firebrand, because you can ramp into Fused Firebrand and then play Augur of the Old Ones on top of the Fused Firebrand, and this is a very, very strong move. Then we run the Infinite Mind Splitter and Uzgar the Ancient. Uzgar the Ancient because it has regeneration and actually also Challenger, which you can, of course, challenge things with, but it is very important to have the option to decide when to damage your regeneration units. So with this you can actually always be certain to damage the Uzgar the Ancient, as well as obviously removing stuff. This is a very, very strong card to do that. And then Infinite Mind Splinter because it is a very strong card, but most importantly because we need that 8 or more cost cards to activate the Augur of the Old Ones, as well as the Troll Ravager. So yeah, that's why the why of those cards. And then lastly, we have a bit of ramp in the form of Wielding Stones and Catalyst of Eons, because we really want to get to the 5 or more turn very quickly. And so yeah, this is a pretty standard ramp deck, which doesn't really want to... The win condition of this deck is Starspring, because it is very, very cheap in terms of of shards. Only Starspring is an epic. You can cut the Ice Quake actually, and also the Infinite Mind Splitter, and then this is a really solid budget deck. So yeah, that's it for this video. Hope you liked it and find it useful, and as always, see ya!